Hello grade 2s! So today I'm going to be reading you a book called Thumbelina. I'm sure some of you have read this book before or heard of the story, but I thought I would read it to you again today. So this book is illustrated by Rachel Swirls, which means she is the lady who drew the pictures, so the illustrations. So she drew this lovely front cover. And the story is retold by Lucy M. George. So Lucy's not the author, but she retold the story in her way, so her version of the story. So we are going to be reading that for you. Well, I am going to be reading that for you today. So, I hope your listening ears are on and that you enjoy the story. I'm watching you. There was once a tiny little girl who was no bigger than a thumb. She was called Thumbelina. She lived in a beautiful flower in a warm and happy house. On bright mornings, she would row across the milk bowl with a whistle and a giggle as she went, smiling and happy with the world. But one day, as she slept beside the window, here's our picture. A nasty toad mother crept up and snatched her. She trapped Thumbelina on a lily leaf, too small to swim home, too afraid to call for help. The toad mother was going to make Thumbelina marry her horrid toad son. As Thumbelina's tears splashed into the pool, the fish looked up and saw how lovely she was. They had to help. So they nibbled and they gnawed through the stem of the lily until the leaf floated free. "Oh, thank you," she called as she floated away. But as she drifted, she realized that she was going further and further away from her home. Uh-oh. Suddenly, a mayfly landed on her leaf. Without even saying hello, it poked her and said, My, you are a pretty little thing. I think I shall take you back to my family." "Oh, it has no wings," said the mother. It has no feelers," said the brother. "Yuck, it only has 2 feet," said the sister, "and it is so ugly." They cast Thumbelina from the tree. That's a lot of nasty things they told her. Not very nice. Winter had come, and Thumbelina was all alone in the world. Great snowflakes fell, and the ground grew colder. Shivering and hungry, Thumbelina lay on the frozen ground and wept. Just as she was falling into a deep, deep sleep, she felt a warm breath upon her face. When she awoke, she found herself in the home of a field mouse. He had saved her life, and Thumbelina would be eternally grateful. She and Mouse spent the whole winter together, happy in his cozy little home. Beside the merry little fire, they were safe and warm from the frosty winds outside. What a nice little mouse. That winter, Thumbelina would walk with Mouse to visit his friend Mole every afternoon for a cup of tea and homemade cakes. They had a splendid time, and Mole began to grow rather fond of Thumbelina. Mouse was so kind to Thumbelina, but she soon found that he wanted her to repay him. The following year, Thumbelina would have to go and live with Mole in his dark underground hole. One day on the way to Mole's, Thumbelina heard a crying from the frosty earth above. She crept to the surface, and there she found a small bird, laying in a tangled nest of twigs and leaves. "I was too tired to fly with my friends this winter," cried the poor swallow. So Thumbelina visited Swallow secretly every day, taking him seeds and water to make him strong again. Very soon they became the best of friends. And over the seasons that followed, he slowly got better and better, until eventually Swallow was strong enough to fly away. "I will never forget you," he cried. "And I will never forget you," she said. And she didn't, but she missed him. And since he had gone, Thumbelina had spent all of her days inside with Mouse. And now the time had come to go and live with Mole in his dark underground hole. Thumbelina longed to see the sky one more time, so she crept out early one morning whilst the ground was still soft. A tear rolled down her cheek. "Goodbye, flowers," she said sadly. Suddenly, a bird landed beside her. "Why are you crying?" he asked. "Because," she wept, not looking up, "I have to marry an old blind mole tomorrow, and I'll have to live underground forever." He smiled, and then laughingly, gently, he said, "Thumbelina, it's me, your old friend Swallow. You once saved me, and now I can save you." Thumbelina threw her arms around his neck and held on tightly. Then they took off and soared away from all her troubles, over mountains, past babbling brooks, and through fields, dotted all over with wild and colourful flowers. She felt alive again. Everything looked so small from the air that Thumbelina forgot how small she really was and started to feel strong again. Then Swallow called out to her, "Pick a flower. That's where you shall live." As they swooped towards the ground, Thumbelina saw a beautiful white flower. "That one," she pointed. But as she fell softly into the flower, Thumbelina gave a little cry of surprise. For right there, in the middle, was the Prince of the Fairies. Swallow waved goodbye with her promise to visit her every spring. And so, at last, Thumbelina had found her home. See you next spring. Love, Swallow. So Swallow made them a little postcard. So, what was our hidden message in our story today? What did we learn? What do you think the message was in our story? I think the message is that we need to help people when we can, and that not always when we help people do we expect something in return or expect someone else to do something nice for us, but it makes us feel good, it makes us strong. So we must always help people whenever we can. So it's about helping. And by you helping others, you feel strong and you feel happy inside. And it's always a beautiful thing to help other people. So never stop helping other people and being a kind person. Kindness is strength. So I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I loved reading to you today, as I always do. And I shall see you guys very soon. I'm missing you so much. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye, grade 2s. Mwah.